Silence is one of the most misunderstood forces in the world. Most people see silence as weakness. They think if you're not reacting, if you're not speaking, if you're not making noise, somehow you've lost. But the truth is the exact opposite. Silence is a sign of mastery. Silence is a sign that you have learned how to govern yourself instead of trying to govern others. When you are silent, you are not ignoring what happened to you. You are simply refusing to let it control you. You are choosing consciously to reclaim your energy instead of throwing it away on arguments that would only drain you. You are standing tall in a storm, unshaken, undisturbed, and that is a force few can match. When you remain silent, you stop feeding negativity with your attention. You deny it the oxygen it needs to keep burning. Every word you speak in anger, every reply you give out of hurt, every reaction you have in pain, it all gives power to the thing that wounded you. But when you are silent, you starve the situation, you take back control, you refuse to let the outside world dictate your inner peace. That is strength on a level most people will never understand because they are too busy needing to prove something to people who don't even deserve an explanation. There is a special kind of discipline required to hold your tongue when your ego is screaming to respond. It takes a bigger person to stay still while everything inside wants to move. It takes a wiser soul to recognize that the loudest person is rarely the strongest. It's the calm, the still, the composed who truly hold power. You must realize that silence is not you forfeiting the battle. It is you stepping back, allowing time, energy, and truth to do what your words never could. You have to understand that everything and everyone in life reacts to energy. When you pull your energy away, when you stop entertaining confusion, when you stop trying to fix things that are meant to be broken, when you stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you, you shift the balance of power. Silence resets the dynamics. It forces people to sit with what they have done. It forces them to feel the absence they thought they could live with. It forces them to hear their own thoughts without your voice there to soothe them, to defend them, or to make excuses for them. There is a deep power that comes from silence because silence demands self-control, and self-control is one of the highest forms of personal strength. Anyone can yell, argue, fight, chase, plead. It requires no discipline to explode in anger or collapse in emotion. But to feel all the fire boiling inside you and still keep your mouth closed, still keep your spirit intact, still walk away with your dignity, that is rare. That is the evidence of real growth. That is when you know you are not a prisoner of your circumstances, but the master of yourself. Silence does not mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you're unaware. It means you are strategic. It means you have graduated from reacting impulsively to everything that pokes at your emotions. It means you know the value of your energy and you refuse to waste it where it will not be appreciated or respected. The strongest moves you will ever make will happen in silence. The biggest breakthroughs you will ever experience will not be announced with trumpets and fanfare. They will be built quietly in the background while the world underestimates you. They will see you later stronger, better, more focused, but they will have no idea how much discipline it took for you to remain silent when you could have so easily lashed out. Most people are addicted to reaction. They think that if they are not responding immediately, they are somehow losing. They are uncomfortable with the emptiness of silence because in silence you are forced to face yourself. But you are not most people. You understand that true growth happens in that quiet space. True healing happens when you stop explaining and start evolving. The best revenge is not loud arguments, it's not cruel words, it's walking away, staying silent, and letting your elevation speak for you. Your silence teaches lessons that your words never could. When you don't respond, you create a void, and that void makes people think. It makes them reflect. It makes them feel the absence they thought they could handle. Every day without your presence, without your energy, without your light, weighs heavier on them. It chips away at the pride and arrogance that blinded them. It eats away at the false confidence they wore like armor. And they realize slowly, painfully, that your silence is not a punishment, it's a mirror showing them everything they refused to see while you were still speaking, still trying, still giving. Now, the silence is doing the work that your words could never accomplish, of course. Here's the expansion of key point 2, again without any heading, about 700 words, keeping the flow deep, emotional, powerful, and without an ending sentence, just as you asked. Time has a way of revealing what words can conceal. When you remove yourself from the noise, when you stop trying to control outcomes, when you stop chasing explanations, you give time the authority to show you what is real and what is not. Time has a way of exposing hidden intentions, secret agendas, and true loyalty. It unravels masks that people wear so well when they think they still have your attention. Time stretches out their true character like a long road, and when the dust settles, you see clearly who was built to walk beside you and who was only there for the ride. When you step back, when you stop forcing conversations, when you stop explaining yourself to people who have already made up their minds, time begins to whisper the truth. It reveals the ones who never valued you. It highlights the ones who only stayed because it was convenient. It exposes the ones who said the right things but never planned to follow through, and in that painful clarity you find freedom, because the truth, even when it hurts, sets you free from illusions that once kept you trapped. Most people are so impatient for answers that they force them. They poke and prod, demanding clarity from people who are only skilled in confusion. But patience is the real test of wisdom. When you allow time to unfold naturally, when you trust the process without needing immediate confirmation, you are giving yourself a priceless gift of protection. You are protecting yourself from false commitments, half-hearted apologies, and relationships that would only waste your destiny. You are giving yourself permission to be still long enough for deception to reveal itself, without you ever having to lift a finger. Time does not lie. It is the most honest friend you will ever have. People can lie, emotions can lie, memories can deceive, but time always tells the truth. It stretches situations out long enough that pretenders get tired, opportunists get bored, manipulators get frustrated. And only the genuine remain, only the real ones endure the waiting, only the sincere ones continue to show up when there's no audience, no benefit, no reward in sight. When you give things time, you shift the weight of responsibility from yourself to the universe. You are no longer the one fighting to prove your worth or to defend your value. Time does the heavy lifting for you. It removes the need for arguments. It dissolves the need for explanations. It clears the fog that emotions once created and leaves behind only what was always there, hidden beneath layers of words, promises, and pretense. The beauty of time is that it brings everything to light at exactly the right moment. Not a second too soon, not a minute too late. When you are patient enough to let time work, you realize that the truth you needed was already written into the story, you just had to wait long enough for the pages to turn. You start to see the patterns you once ignored. You notice the inconsistencies you once explained away. You realize that love, loyalty, and respect are not things that need to be forced. They reveal themselves naturally over time. The ones who truly care, the ones who genuinely love, will not let time or distance erode their connection to you. They will find a way. They will show up again and again without needing reminders. They will choose you even when you stop choosing them. But the ones who are only there for their own benefit, for their own gain, will quietly drift away, And that's not your loss, it's your liberation. Every moment that passes without them reaching out, without them fighting for you, is a moment where you are being spared more disappointment in the future. Time is the great separator. It separates the temporary from the permanent, the seasonal from the lifetime, the counterfeit from the genuine. And if you can endure the silence, if you can withstand the uncertainty, you will find yourself standing on the other side of that separation with clarity, wisdom, and strength that no one can ever take away from you again. You won't have to wonder anymore, you won't have to question, you will know with a certainty carved out by the passing of days who was for you and who was only using you for a season. Let time do what your words, your tears, your efforts could not accomplish. Stop rushing to fix, stop rushing to heal, stop rushing to understand, breathe, step back, allow the process to unfold. Trust that what is meant for you will find you without you having to beg for it, without you having to lose your dignity for it. The things that crumble with time were never built to last. The things that endure were meant to be yours, of course. Here's the expansion of Key Point 3, no heading, around 700 words and no ending sentence, keeping the deep, emotional, powerful Bob Proctor. Style flow exactly as you asked. Every day that passes without you in someone's life creates a void that no noise, no distraction, no temporary thrill can truly fill. At first they may not notice it. At first they may believe they are free, untouchable, unbothered. They may even convince themselves that your absence was insignificant. But time, when combined with silence, is relentless. It works on the mind and the heart in ways that cannot be fought off. Slowly, steadily, your absence begins to take form. It becomes a weight they carry without even realizing it, a heaviness in moments when everything is supposed to be light, a shadow in rooms that should be bright. Every memory, every moment of peace you brought into their life, every piece of comfort you once provided, all begins to echo louder and louder in the space where your voice used to be. And though they may try to fill it with distractions, with new faces, with busyness, nothing fits quite the same, because energy doesn't lie. Souls recognize the difference between something real and something that's just a placeholder. And the longer you stay silent, the more evident that difference becomes. They begin to realize that every conversation feels a little emptier. Every laugh is a little more forced. Every plan for the future seems a little more hollow without you in it. At first, they may blame the world, they may search for other reasons why life feels off balance, but deep down they know that something valuable slipped through their fingers, they know that your presence was not ordinary, not replaceable, not common. And the realization doesn't come all at once. It creeps in slowly, like water seeping into the cracks of a foundation, and just like water, it erodes the walls they tried to build to protect their pride. Every day without your light becomes a little darker. Every day without your kindness becomes a little colder. Every day without your understanding becomes a little lonelier, because real connections leave fingerprints on the soul. And when that connection is gone, no matter how hard they try to wash it away with temporary distractions, the imprint remains. It reminds them of what was lost. It reminds them that what they took for granted was once their greatest blessing. The mind begins to wander back to the small moments, the ones they overlooked at the time. The way you listened without judgment, the way you showed up when no one else did, the way you cared without expecting anything in return. And it hits them in the quiet hours when no one else is around. It hits them when the crowds leave, when the party ends, when the noise dies down. It hits them in the spaces where the truth can no longer be drowned out. And it is in those moments that your absence speaks louder than your presence ever did. You see, when you were there, they were numb to your value. Familiarity is dangerous that way. It makes people forget the rarity of what they have. It tricks them into believing that what is precious will always be available. But silence breaks that illusion. Time shatters it. Time forces them to confront the reality that some doors, once closed, do not reopen. Some opportunities, once lost, do not come back, and some souls, once disrespected, never return the same. The most powerful realization is not the one you tell someone about. It's the one they arrive at on their own. The moment they sit in their own regret, their own emptiness, their own quiet realization that they mistook a rare gem for a common stone. And no amount of reaching out, no amount of apologizing, no amount of trying to retrace their steps can erase the weight of that understanding. They must carry it, they must sit with it, they must learn from it if they are wise enough, and while they battle with their silent regret, you are not standing still, you are not frozen in the past. You are rising, you are rebuilding, you are reclaiming your energy and pouring it back into yourself. You are discovering new dimensions of your strength, your beauty, your potential. And every day you stay silent, every day you focus on yourself instead of what was lost, you widen the gap between who you were when they left and who you are becoming without them. You make it clear, not through words but through growth, that you are not waiting. You are not pausing your life for anyone who couldn't see your value the first time. Silence is not a punishment, it is a revelation. It reveals what was real and what was temporary. It reveals who missed out and who was meant to stay. It reveals, with brutal honesty, that not everyone is capable of holding onto something valuable when it's right in front of them. Some people have to lose it first. Some people have to sit in the ruins of what they destroyed before they understand what they had. And even then, understanding does not guarantee a second chance, of course. Here's the expansion of key point 4 without any heading, around 700 words, no ending sentence, just like you asked. Negative feelings are powerful forces, and when they are left unchecked, they create prisons inside the mind. They start as small whispers, quiet doubts, fleeting insecurities, sudden bursts of anger or sadness. But over time they build walls. Brick by brick, thought by thought, they close you in until you begin to see yourself through the lens of pain rather than potential. Every hurtful word spoken against you, every betrayal you endured, every moment you were overlooked or misunderstood, becomes another stone in that invisible fortress. And what makes it even more dangerous is that the walls you build to protect yourself from further pain also end up blocking the sunlight of new possibilities. It is easy to get stuck in that space, to start believing that your feelings define your future. It is easy to think that because you feel broken today, you will always be broken. That because someone didn't see your worth, you don't have any. That because you've experienced loss, you are destined to live in lack. But feelings are not facts, they are not permanent, they are temporary signals, not final sentences. They are messages asking for your attention, not masters demanding your obedience. If you are willing to see them for what they are, not as chains, but as cues, you can break free. When you step back and stop reacting to every negative feeling, you begin to reclaim your power. You stop being a prisoner to your emotions, and you start becoming the architect of your healing. It doesn't happen overnight. There will still be days when the sadness feels heavier than your strength. There will still be moments when anger seems louder than your peace. But if you refuse to let those moments define you, if you refuse to let them dictate your actions, you start to shift. You start to take the power away from your pain and return it to your purpose. One of the first steps in overcoming negative feelings is acknowledging them without judgment. Most people either suppress their emotions or drown in them. They either pretend the hurt doesn't exist, or they let it consume their entire identity. But true power comes from standing still, looking the pain in the face and saying, "I see you, I feel you, but you do not own me." When you name the feeling without letting it name you, you take the first swing at the walls that have caged you. Another crucial step is understanding that healing is not linear. Some days you will feel victorious. Other days you will feel like you are starting from scratch. Both days are necessary. Both days are sacred. Growth does not happen in a straight line. It happens in cycles, in waves, in moments of clarity followed by moments of confusion. And that's okay. Healing is not a race. It is not about reaching some magical point where you no longer feel anything negative. It is about learning how to move through those feelings without getting stuck in them. You cannot stop negative feelings from arising, but you can control how you respond to them. You can refuse to feed them with your focus. You can refuse to let them narrate your story. Every time you feel sadness creeping in, you have a choice to sit with it for a moment and then shift your attention to something empowering. Every time anger tries to flare up, you have a choice to acknowledge it and then release it without letting it poison your heart. Every time fear whispers lies in your ear, you have a choice to hear it but not to believe it. Choice by choice, response by response, you reclaim your inner world. Another truth is that most negative feelings are not even about the present moment. They are echoes of the past or projections of the future. They are rarely rooted in the now. When you realize this, you understand that you are suffering over memories that no longer exist or fears that have not yet come to pass. You are giving your energy to ghosts, and once you see that, you can begin to anchor yourself in the present, where peace actually lives. The present moment rarely contains as much pain as our minds pretend it does. Right here, right now, you are breathing, you are surviving, you have the power to choose a new thought, a new perspective, a new belief, and the more you practice returning to the present, the weaker the grip of negative feelings becomes. They may still visit you, but they no longer own you. They may still knock on the door of your mind, but you no longer have to invite them in and let them take over your life. Another powerful way to dismantle negative feelings is gratitude. Gratitude is the hammer that breaks the chains of bitterness, anger, and fear. When you focus on what you still have instead of what you lost, when you focus on what you can still become instead of what went wrong, you realign your energy. You remind yourself that no matter what has been taken from you, no matter how dark the road has been, there is still light left. There is still a future worth fighting for. There are still dreams worth pursuing, of course. Here's the expansion of Key Point 5, without any heading, around 700 words, no ending sentence as you asked. Most people think that healing and overcoming negative feelings is an external process. They search for the right person to validate them, the right opportunity to erase the pain, the right apology to set them free. But the truth is that the work is internal. The most powerful transformations happen in silence, in solitude, in moments when no one is watching. You cannot depend on someone else to heal the wounds that were carved inside you. You cannot wait for the world to hand you closure. You have to create it yourself, and you do that by turning inward, by strengthening the foundation that no one else can see. It is tempting to keep looking outward, to believe that once you get the relationship you want, or the recognition you deserve, or the success you dream about, you will finally feel whole. But anything you acquire from the outside that tries to fix a hole inside you will eventually crumble. External things can enhance your life, but they cannot heal your soul. Only you can do that, and you do it by confronting the parts of yourself that are wounded, the parts that feel unworthy, the parts that learned somewhere along the line that love must be earned, or pain must be endured. You meet those parts with compassion, not criticism. You nurture them with patience, not punishment. The reason internal work is so powerful is because it teaches you that you already are what you have been seeking. You already have strength inside you. You already have peace available to you. You already have wisdom waiting to be tapped into. You don't need to become someone else. You need to remember who you are beneath the layers of pain, fear, and conditioning. That remembering happens in quiet moments when you allow yourself to sit still and listen, not to the noise of the world, but to the truth that lives in your own spirit. Silence becomes your ally in this process. When you stop filling every moment with noise, when you stop distracting yourself with endless stimulation, you finally start to hear the deeper voice within. That voice does not scream for attention. It whispers, it invites, it reminds you of your inherent worth. It reminds you that you are more than the heartbreak, more than the betrayal, more than the disappointment. It reminds you that you are whole, even when you feel broken. Internal work also demands radical honesty. It requires that you stop blaming the outside world for your inner turmoil. It requires that you stop waiting for someone else to fix what you have the power to heal. It is easy to point fingers at circumstances, at people who hurt you, at situations that went wrong. But true power is born the moment you take full ownership of your emotional life, not because you deserved the pain, not because what happened was okay, but because you are no longer willing to hand your peace over to anyone or anything outside of you. This level of responsibility is not heavy, it is liberating. It means that no one else has control over your destiny. It means that your healing, your growth, your happiness is not dependent on whether others change, or whether the past gets rewritten, or whether the apology ever comes. It means you are free to rise, no matter what happened. It means you are free to build a life so full of love, purpose, and strength that the past loses its grip on you. One of the most powerful tools in this internal work is self-forgiveness, not just forgiving others, but forgiving yourself. For the mistakes you made when you didn't know better, for the times you settled when you deserved more, for the moments you stayed too long or left too soon. Forgiving yourself does not mean you approve of every choice. It means you recognize that you were learning, growing, surviving. It means you extend to yourself the same compassion you so freely offer to others. Without self-forgiveness, you will stay trapped in cycles of shame and regret. With it, you open the door to true freedom. Another crucial aspect is rebuilding trust with yourself. Negative feelings often stem from broken trust, either trust broken by others or trust broken within yourself. Maybe you promised yourself you would leave a toxic situation and you stayed. Maybe you vowed to protect your peace and you let someone disrupt it. Every time that happens, a small crack forms in the foundation of your self-trust. But the good news is that trust can be rebuilt. Every time you honor your intuition, every time you set a boundary and keep it, every time you choose what is healthy over what is familiar but harmful, you repair that foundation. Internal work is not glamorous. It doesn't get applause. It doesn't come with instant gratification. It is a quiet, often lonely, journey of peeling back the layers that life piled on top of your authentic self. It is the daily decision to show up for yourself, even when no one else does. It is the courage to face the mirror and love what you see, not because it is perfect, but because it is real, because it is worthy, because it is you. Most people underestimate the power of patience. They think that if they aren't acting, forcing, pushing, striving every second, they're losing ground. But the truth is, some of the most important shifts in your life happen when you are standing still, when you are waiting with wisdom, when you allow time to do what only time can do. Growth is not always loud. Healing is not always visible. Progress is not always measurable in the moment. There are seasons in life where the most powerful thing you can do is trust the unseen process that is unfolding beneath the surface. You have to understand that time has a rhythm of its own. There is a divine timing to everything. A seed does not sprout the moment it is planted. It lies beneath the soil, unseen, seemingly lifeless. But in that hidden place, powerful things are happening. Roots are taking hold. Foundations are being built. Strength is being developed. And when the time is right, the sprout pushes through the soil and reaches for the light. If you judge the process based on what you could see, you would think nothing was happening. But the truth is, everything essential was happening in the dark. This is how your life unfolds too. There will be times when you feel stuck, invisible, forgotten. Times when it seems like all your efforts are wasted, like nothing you do is making a difference. But just because you cannot see immediate results does not mean nothing is happening. It is in these silent, invisible seasons that your spirit is growing roots. It is in these moments of waiting that your strength is being fortified. And when the time is right, everything that was hidden will be revealed. But it won't happen a second sooner than it's meant to. This is why patience is not passive. It is active trust. It is strength under control. It is the willingness to stand firm when your emotions are screaming for action, when your fear is whispering doubts, when the world around you demands urgency. Patience is a discipline. It is the ability to hold your vision steady even when your reality looks like the opposite. It is the choice to believe in the invisible work that is taking place in the background of your life. Sometimes you are so close to a breakthrough, but because you cannot see it yet, you are tempted to quit. You are tempted to dig up the seed before it has had a chance to bloom. You are tempted to settle for something smaller than what you were meant for, simply because waiting feels uncomfortable. But every time you choose patience over panic, you are aligning yourself with your highest good. Every time you trust the process instead of rushing it, you are allowing the best version of your future to unfold. It's important to understand that impatience often comes from fear. Fear that you're being forgotten. Fear that you're missing out. Fear that you won't get what you desire. But fear clouds your judgment. Fear leads you to chase things that are not meant for you, to make decisions out of desperation rather than wisdom. When you move in fear, you sabotage the very blessings you were preparing for. But when you stay patient, when you stay grounded, you move in wisdom. You make decisions from a place of strength, not weakness. Patience also protects your energy. When you are patient, you are not wasting your life in anxiety, in frustration, in comparison. You are centered. You are grounded. You are conserving your strength for the right battles. You are using your energy to build, to prepare, to become. So when the door finally opens, you are ready. You are not exhausted from chasing what was never yours. You are not bitter from forcing what was not meant to be. You are fresh, full of life, fully equipped to step into the opportunities that were tailor-made for you. One of the most powerful things you can do while waiting is to focus on becoming the person who is ready to receive what you are asking for. Too often, people pray for blessings they are not prepared to handle. They wish for relationships, opportunities, success, but they have not developed the character, the resilience, the discipline to sustain those things. Patience gives you the space to grow into the person who can hold the weight of the blessings coming your way. In seasons of waiting, your character is tested, your faith is refined, your priorities are clarified, you learn what really matters, you learn to let go of what you cannot control, you learn to find joy in the present moment, even as you anticipate better things ahead. And when you master patience, you master peace. You stop living at the mercy of circumstances. You stop being tossed around by every delay, every obstacle, every disappointment. You stand firm, knowing that what is meant for you will find you, and it will be better than anything you could have forced into existence on your own.